Hey guys, welcome back to Runnin Bout chapter 26. That's right, I've brought the platform back this year and we're going to be having more vibes, more speed, more interviews, and more running, of course. So stay tuned, so much is going to be coming your way. So for today, I want to talk about the 10K European record just set by Jana Van Lent of Belgium. That's right, she ran 30 minutes, 10 seconds. That is a pace of 3 minutes and 1 second per K, so blistering. She just ran that and set a new European women's mixed record. So she's the first Belgian woman also to run under 15 minutes for the 5K. In her 10K record, she just ran the first 5K in 14:42 and then the second 5K in 15:28. So a significant slowdown in the second half of the race, but that just means that we should be all more excited to see like what can she do next? Can she keep pushing the 10K record a bit more if she manages to have a more evenly split race? So I'm sure lots of exciting new stuff coming our way, and big congrats to her. Now, that's the European record. So the 10K world record is actually held by Kenyan Agnes Ngetich, and she set that in Valencia in 2025, and her time was 28:46. Now, I want to talk a little bit about pacemaking, and I want to explain that the records I've just been talking about are actually mixed gender records. So the previous European record, the one that Jana Van Lent would have just broken, was held by Paula Radcliffe, and that was set back in 2003. That time was 30 minutes, 21 seconds. Paula Radcliffe, definitely a runner that I absolutely look up to a lot. She would have set that record during her build-up to the famous London Marathon, where she ran a world best, previously seen as a world record, but a world best time of 2:15 for the marathon. She was in like absolutely Optimus Prime shape back then. That was 22 years ago. Just want to put that into a little bit of context. I really consider her ahead of her time a bit in running because, yes, today we have some women who are running 2:15 and getting that mark, and we've managed to like accelerate women's athletics to that point where we're at that point in the marathon. But 22 years ago, she was absolutely on her own doing that. And as a European woman as well, we all know that the Kenyans and the Ethiopians are the best distance runners in the world, like no contest. So I feel like she was super ahead of her time, which is a great thing. Her records were standing for many, many years, but it's also not a good thing, in my personal opinion, because then you aren't being challenged as much. So, you know, it's great when you can compete and collaborate with other people in your own time. So I think that's probably an unfortunate thing, which kind of leads me to the topic of today. So the reason why I said her time in 2003 was a previous world record, but it's really called a world best at the time, is because after the race, many years after, the IAAF overturned it as a world record, using the word record specifically, because she had used male pacemaking during that event. And that's essentially what a mixed gender time is seen as now. Either men and women start at the start line at the same time, and that's considered a mixed gender race, or it's women only competing, but they have male pacemakers. That's also considered mixed gender. I think like obviously having the gender categories is extremely important. Like I would never say you need to combine and just do one overall thing. I think women definitely need their own gender category. Men need their own gender category. Non-binaries have their own gender category. I think those are really important to uphold. What I struggle with a little bit is the concept that, well, this female athlete had male pacemaking, so we can't consider that a world record time because her pacers were male and not female. First of all, the job of a pacemaker essentially is just to guide the actual competitors in the race, the racers in the race, whether they're male or female, guide them through at a specific pace so they can make a target time. And a lot of the big city marathons and stuff now are hiring quality pacemakers who can really do that job, because we are like hungry for setting new world records, new times. So when a big city marathon will hire a bunch of pacemakers to set the time, they're really trying to help athletes along, and I think that's a really, really good thing. Commentary on male pacemaking for women. Now, my first thoughts about it and my first impressions about it were, why does it matter what gender the pacemaker was? Who cares if it was a man or a woman doing the pace setting? That shouldn't matter, because it's still, using Paula Radcliffe as the example, she still did it in her own 2 feet on her own. Like, why should it matter whether her pacemaker was male or female? Probably still hold that opinion. But I think what I've kind of developed a taste for in terms of how we look at it is, why not make female athletes use female pacemakers? Hold on. Hear me out. First of all, obviously, I am 100% for anything that improves the quality of female athletes. So quality and quantity. Like, I want to see female athletes at the very elite level, at the very top level, improving, and closing that gap between men's times and women's times. Factually, yes, men are running the fastest man and the fastest woman. The man will run a faster time, but what I really want to see is us being able to inch closer and closer to really close that gap. And I want to see a greater quantity of females getting into sport, being supported in sport, and being able to move women's sport forward, especially long distance running. So anything that achieves that goal, I am 100% for, whatever that is. What I'm going through in my mind, though, is, wouldn't making women use female pacemakers be the way to achieve that goal? Because representation, we would have more women being hired as pacemakers. Like, think about it. When you watch races, as I do on YouTube, you watch the full marathons, the pacers are always men. They're all men. So if we had a rule in place whereby women need to use female pacemakers and not male pacemakers, does this not improve women's sport? Because women are being given an opportunity to do pace setting. The more opportunities that become available in sport for female athletes, the more female athletes will develop, and the more female athletes will get into the sport because they see those opportunities to develop. Now, I know the first counter argument that's coming is, well, men can run faster, so if you're the fastest woman at the front, nobody else can keep up with you. You need a man to set the pace, whatever. That just kind of like falls into the thinking of, you need a man to do this, or you need a man to do that, or a man is better than a woman, whatever. So my argument against that is, okay, let's say you're running a marathon, you're the elite top woman, you're number one. Who's going to pace set for you? You could have a man to run you through that 30K, which pacers will normally drop out at around the 30K mark. You can either have a man pace you to that, or if there's no other women who can keep up with you for 30K, why don't you just have 2 women? Why don't you have one to do the first 15 and one to do the second 15, and use that in and out sort of like pattern that we saw when we did the Breaking 2 project with Kipchoge? He had a flock of pacers weaving in and out. Why don't we just use that as an approach? Because yeah, I totally understand, like, oh, well, which woman is going to be able to keep up with me? If I'm the fastest one, who's going to keep up with me for 3/4 of the race? There's not enough women, whatever. Well, the whole point is to develop us and get us to the point where there are so many more women to choose from. So if you can't have one woman do the 30K job, why don't you just have 2 doing 2 15Ks or 20K at a 10K? Like, is this not a viable option? I'm just thinking in terms of really wanting to see more women get through. Like, at first, going into this, I was like, if a woman wants to have male pacemakers, why not? It doesn't matter. It shouldn't be some separate thing, whatever. But like, the more I've actually thought about it, it's like maybe sometimes we need to take actions that will help women. It might not sound popular to say, but maybe we need to do things that will actually in the long run help women and support women. Like there was an event in, I think it was London. I'll double check that, but I'm pretty sure it was London last year. It was kind of marketed softly as an all women's 10K. It was a Nike After Dark event. Marketed as an all women's 10K. And then afterwards, there was a lot of like people online complaining that there were men in the race and that, you know, some of those men, like women had brought pacemakers to run with them. And so that's how men ended up in the race. And they were so annoyed by that. And like, I totally agree, because you as a woman, you do not need to have a male pacemaker. You could have female pacemakers. Just my opinion. I don't know. What do you all think? Let me know. Lots more exciting news coming up. We've got our first track meet of the year happening this weekend. It's a New Year's Classic. And I'm so excited because I'm going to be running the 3000. It's going to be my first 3000 of the season. My best time last year in the 3000 was actually at Nationals. It was the last 3000 of the season, like in the summertime. And I felt pretty good then with the time, because I was kind of like, I wasn't doing great. I did not feel like I was doing great last season in my 3000s, but I definitely was able to finish the season in a place where I was like, okay, that's good. So I'm really excited to see what is going to happen this weekend. It's going to be my first 3000. I feel like I've put in so much work. I've got so much fitness. I'm just ready to like put it all on the track. So I'm really excited to seeing what we can do. All right, that is a wrap on Runnin Bout. Chapter 26 is here, y'all, and I'm for it. I hope you're for it too. See y'all later.